North Avenue Bakery, Hotel Praia Sol, Luís Firmino Insurance, MCM Clinic, Top Burger, Go Car Service, Coimbra Restaurant.
Bem-vindos a mais Legal Way. It is always a pleasure to be in your company, and with us today I have Dr. George Russo. Doctor, thank you very much for you to being here today. Again, we have a lot to talk.
Thank you for having me.
Doctor, let's start with everything that happening. You know, we see so much ICE activity around us here in Newark, Essex County, Union County. They are all over. It is an increase of activity, ICE activity?
Well, if it's not an increase, it's definitely a change in the way they're applying their tactics. We're seeing less arrests at courthouses because of recent court decisions that have come out that have made ICE arrests at courthouses less permissible. But ICE is, of course, trying to figure out ways around that. What we are seeing a lot of is ICE arrests at check-ins. Many people are on or have certain reporting requirements regarding their immigration status, and they're required to report, for example, here in Newark to 970 Broad Street to the 11th floor. They'll report to ICE. People have been detained at those reporting events. The majority of people who have been detained have been people who have missed a prior check-in or have failed to update their address or something like that. In addition, we're seeing ICE targeting a lot of people that work in the construction industry and people that work generally more in open spaces, outdoors. That's what we're seeing.
Let's elaborate a little bit about this situation. So, people that fail, for example, to go to a court appearance and then they get a second notice or a new date, they report, and then because of that happening before, that opened the door for them to be able to, for ICE to be able to detain them. Correct?
Yeah. So there's an important difference between not going to a court appearance and not going to a check-in, right? If you don't go to a court appearance, then the judge will issue an order of removal in absentia, which means in your absence. Okay, so in that case, the government's lawyer will say that this person was provided notice, they were given notice on this date that they're from this country and that we have this statement from them that says that they're in the country without permission, right? And then based on that, the judge says, I have enough evidence to issue a removal order in your absence, right? And that is, if you have a viable immigration case, that's one of the worst things that can be allowed to happen to you, get an in absentia removal order.
Fica aqui, portanto, a clarificação entre não ir a uma marcação de tribunal ou não comparecer a dos chamados check-ins. Doctor, and I'd like to tell everybody at home to, if you have any questions, make sure that you text us or let us know exactly what is your question for Dr. George Russo. Doctor, today DMV and JDMV voter registration mistakes, what happening and what are the impact that may have in all these immigration chaos that we're facing?
Well, today the governor of New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill, issued a statement that said that 6,600 non-citizens were added accidentally from the New Jersey motor vehicle registration to New Jersey voter registration. So everyone who has a driver's license here in New Jersey knows that when you go to renew, there's always an option, do you want to register to vote, right? And obviously, you can only vote in U.S. elections, the majority of them, if you're a United States citizen. So non-citizens were accidentally added to the voter registration. And that means that non-citizens were probably getting mail from the state of New Jersey regarding elections, like with a sample ballot, here's how you vote, so on and so forth. The reason this is important is because voting in United States elections when you are not a United States citizen will destroy any immigration application that you might want to submit. The consequences are very severe, right? So now, if you haven't voted in a US election, that's fine. That's great, actually. But you also want to make sure that no boxes might have been checked that said, yes, I want to register, or yes, I'm a citizen, something like that. So it would be important to check your motor vehicle registration status. And since this just happened around this afternoon, maybe on the next program, we can run through how to check your status, your registration status, without actually, setting off any flags, right?
Correct. So extremely important for you at home. If you never vote, great. Making sure that you never checked anything to be registered to vote. If you're not an American citizen, you cannot vote. It is severe consequences if you vote and when you're not supposed to do it, because as Doctor mentioned, will be a big red flag for any immigration case, correct?
Exactly.
Doctor, we noticed as well that a lot of activity, for example, at Delaney Hall, with a lot of detainees being moved out from New Jersey. What happened there?
Well, Delaney Hall, I believe, is, if not the largest, one of the largest ICE detention facilities on the East Coast. So it does hold a lot of people, more than 1,000. And we also have Elizabeth here, also in the area. But they're bringing people in from New York City and from other places like Suffolk County, Nassau, Suffolk County. They're bringing in other people. So what that means is that there's a lot of people moving through Delaney Hall and Elizabeth Detention Center. And one of the things that they're doing is they're moving quickly people to other states. They're moving people to Arizona, to Louisiana, to Texas, to California, to other states too, but those are the most common ones. And one of the reasons they're doing it is to make things harder and more complicated on defending their cases, because not every state has the same federal law, has the same laws or interpret laws the same way. So for example, if you get transferred to the Southern District of California, the judges there are saying, we won't even consider a bond request in your case unless a federal judge approves a habeas corpus telling us to do that. So the reason they're moving them to locations like that is because here in New Jersey, judges are not necessarily requiring a habeas, right? The reason why you might file a habeas in New Jersey is to also get a restraining order to not let the government transfer you to one of those jurisdictions.
Correct. So,
of course, what this leads to is having to file a habeas no matter what jurisdiction you're in, right? You have to file one in New Jersey so you don't get moved, and then you have to file one in California or Texas so they even give you a bond hearing. So they're just making things as hard as possible.
Now, facing that challenge, it is extremely important that, for example, someone that been detained today, is any way to prevent that move to a different state?
Yeah, they can file a habeas corpus petition along with a request for a temporary restraining order. Okay, in order to win a temporary restraining order case, you have to show that there is an imminent likelihood of irreparable harm to you. In other words, that means that very soon there is going to be harm to you, the person that is requesting the relief, that harm will happen to you that cannot be undone, right? Now, of course, a lot of people have similar versions of that harm, like, oh, my family's here, right? So you got to be able to put forward those facts in the best possible way to make it shown, really, that you will suffer harm. Your family's here, all of the access to the defense, your lawyer might be here. All of that access is right here in New Jersey, and if you get transferred to California or Texas or whatever, it makes defending whatever case you might have that much harder.
Fica aqui, portanto, a informação. É extremamente importante que contacte um advogado para que esses steps sejam tirados ou colocados o mais rápido possível e o caso tem que ser construído de modo a ser eficaz. Doctor, let's talk about, before I have a question here for you, but let's talk about ICE arrest locations. More and more, we notice, and people have been reported, that arrests are happening in different situations, locations. What do we got as far as that?
So, ICE, we're seeing more now. ICE is arresting people using the new technologies that are coming out. Technology that they're not very willing to share with the public, okay? So one of the things they're doing is they're using cell phone data in order to find people. So if you're out somewhere driving and they have a hit on your cell phone data that connects somehow to your license plate or to your registration, and it gets captured somewhere by a camera, they might get a ping that says this person is here, and then they might be able to pull you over and detain you, right? So the way that happens is ICE is buying bulk cell phone data from certain companies that store it, and it's kind of a way for them to circumvent the normal warrant procedure that they would normally need to get. All right, so they're not allowed to, of course, look at your messages. They're not allowed to look at your emails. They're not allowed to look at your calls, but they are allowed to get certain data that allows them to track people. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely concerning, and at least for now, that's something that they're doing.
And is that legal? Is there any way to prevent that?
Well, they're doing it.
They're doing correct.
They're doing it. I'm sure the policy is going to, I'm sure whatever technology they're doing is going to be challenged in court one way or another, because it certainly does seem like an invasion of privacy. Like, we have very strong privacy protections here in the United States, and now, like, even using your cell phone is going to subject you to a warrantless or baseless motor vehicle stop just based on your immigration status. It doesn't seem very American, and it just doesn't seem right. But at least for now, people need to understand that that's part of what they're doing.
Fica aqui, portanto, a clarificação que há novas técnicas, nomeadamente o uso de tecnologia, para detectar a presença ou a proximidade de alguém de interesse para as autoridades. Doctor, I have a question here from someone regarding DACA. They submit something that we spoke last 2 weeks ago. They renewed their DACA documentation and was returned. They asking now for another fee. Is that a normal situation? One of the dots was not complete. What happened in this particular case?
They're just being difficult. Yeah, it happens a lot to pro se filers. If there's a signature block missing, they can absolutely return it, say it's invalid, and keep the fee, and they'll want you to pay more. I mean, you just need to file it again.
Is that person can be out of status if that happened?
Yeah,
No,
definitely. They need to get their application in as soon as possible.
It needs to be done. And once again, o tempo, e eu vou dizer isto também em português porque é importante, o tempo que todos nós entendíamos um bocadinho de papéis e preenchíamos os papéis, possivelmente passou. É muito importante que procure um profissional, custa dinheiro, mas tenha a certeza que o trabalho é feito corretamente para evitar situações como esta. Porque, por exemplo, a senhora que nos contactou, o tempo que vai demorar entre uma aplicação e a outra poderá ficar sem situação definida, poderá ter que pagar uma nova fee sobre o seu processo e corre o risco de estar completamente indocumentada. Portanto, não corra esse risco. Uma das situações que deve procurar é porque não contactar o escritório do Dr. George Russo, de 48 da Wilson Avenue, o número de telefone 973-344-9120. Doctor, I have another question from someone here that came with an ESTA visa. The father came with the ESTA as well from Spain and was stopped and detained by ICE. That person is being here for a year and a half.
A year and a half?
Year and a half. What they should do? They are detained right now in Delaney Hall too.
Well, they should come in for a consultation. But yeah, so when you have ESTA, when you overstay your ESTA, it's technically not a visa, right? It's a visa waiver. So when you agree to the terms of the visa waiver, when you fill out the ESTA application online, when you're in whatever country you're in, you give up the right to certain defenses to your deportation. So the only defense this person might have would be asylum, which is going to be basically impossible from any ESTA country, really. And it also, ESTA people don't have the same bond rights that other people would have. So he's in an unfortunate situation, and there's really not too much that can be done. That's why it's important to know your rights and to know what you can do to minimize any encounters that you might have with ICE.
Fica aqui, portanto, a informação. Contacte imediatamente o Dr. George Russo, 973-344-9120, porque é uma situação, já que ficou mais do que o tempo debaixo de um ESTA. O ESTA é um visa waiver, por isso mesmo você poderá ter incorrido numa situação onde não poderá mesmo evitar a deportação, mas contacte o Dr. George Russo para termos a certeza que toda a informação está granjeada. Doctor, someone with a green card, DWI, a couple years ago, was pulled over speeding in the 25 miles area, about 55 miles an hour. What are the impact of that situation with the current situation right now? He had a DWI a few years ago, like 4 years ago.
So this is just about the speeding?
Speeding ticket, yeah.
Well,
and he wants to become American citizen, by the way.
Okay.
What are the repercussions?
Well, just speaking generally, so I don't want to give him specific immigration advice. In order to become a citizen, you have to show that for a period of the last 5 years, you are a person of good moral character. Okay, ICE or USCIS can take into their discretion stuff like the DUI that might have happened outside that 5-year period.
4 years ago. It's going to be
4
5
years ago?
now, yes.
Okay, so then he definitely shouldn't apply for citizenship just yet. I would wait until that's outside the 5-year period. Make sure that he gets the records, all the records related to the DUI and the disposition, the police report, all of that. As for the speeding, he should, well, I think his bigger concerns might be insurance surcharges than more immigration. But he should definitely try and negotiate that down to something lower. And it depends specifically on what he was charged with. Speeding, okay, is not the worst, but there's other things that they might charge you in addition with speeding, like a reckless driving, something like that an immigration officer might take more of an interest in than a speeding charge.
So what you are saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's pay close attention to any agreement that you made with the prosecutor.
Yeah, definitely, because a lot of times, even if you think you're getting a favorable deal, it's not so much the deal that matters when it comes to immigration as much as it is the words you say in court and what you admit, right?
Correct.
So there are things that you can say in court even in a municipal court that can complicate your immigration status, right? Immigration is looking for things that, when you admit to certain bad facts, that could be what's called a crime involving moral turpitude. They're looking for stuff like that. And if you admit to some of those facts, even if you think you're getting a good plea deal, it could still complicate a green card or any type of immigration relief application down the road.
Doctor, I have another question here. Is someone that is being in the United States for 15 years from Portugal, never have any problems, is about to get married with an American citizen that got their green card from the first marriage with an American citizen, got divorced 6 years ago. Anything that he needs to worry about, he's going to go through the process now, get married. So that person got the green card 6 years ago, last year applied for citizenship, he's now...
And they got the green card through a prior marriage that's now over?
Yes.
And now they want to legalize someone else?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally normal. And it happens all the time. So long as the facts underlying the first marriage that got the current spouse, who's a U.S. citizen, so long as the facts underlying that current marriage were legitimate, it was a legitimate marriage, that person became a U.S. citizen after 5 years having a green card, and just so happened they got divorced for some of the reasons that everyone gets divorced, that person is then free to file another application for someone else.
So it's no worries about that now. How long will take it, a case like that, for that person to get or to be able to apply or get a green card?
If the beneficiary, the person seeking the green card, entered on ESTA?
15 years ago, probably not. Let me see.
15 years ago would have been ESTA, yeah, sure.
Would be ESTA?
Yeah,
Yes.
2011, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so if they entered on ESTA or if they entered on a tourist visa, doesn't matter. That's different than if they entered through the border or another way.
Correct. They enter through an airport. So.
Okay, yeah, so they're going pretty quick with the green card applications, the adjustments of status. We see a lot of them being resolved within like 4 to 5 months. But you do have to be careful for anyone who's a beneficiary and is applying, and you're applying and you entered on ESTA, because, ESTA people have less immigration court relief options than someone who entered on a tourist visa.
Correct.
So all that's very important, and you definitely want to make sure that your application is filled out the right way.
Correto. Fica aqui, portanto, uma vez mais a questão. Não corram riscos desnecessários, mais e mais. That true, doctor, let me correct me if I'm wrong. More and more we see people that come to an attorney with mistakes made on applications that they submitted, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that DACA example we were talking about is an example. I mean, it happens, but I mean, if you do that on a green card application and you're on DACA, then yeah, I mean, it could be an issue.
Could be an issue. Portanto, fica aqui a clarificação. Tenham a certeza que todos os papéis, tudo está devidamente preenchido, e nada melhor do que consultar alguém, como por exemplo o Dr. Jorge Russo, de modo a que tenha a certeza que a aplicação é submetida corretamente e sem problemas. Doctor, I have another question here from a person that already contacted us that has to do, I believe that is the same person that spoke with us last time that you were here regarding that asylum situation. A person that was granted an asylum should not leave the United States to go back to the country where the asylum was granted for, correct? We clarified that point last time.
Yes, definitely not. I mean, that changes once they get their citizenship, but yeah.
Correct. This person is asking now a question, is about to get married with an American citizen. How the case, an asylum case, changed to an married situation? How that works with a green card?
They have the green card?
They have the asylum, yes.
Well,
They have the working authorization, right?
Right, but it's different, right? So after you have asylum for a certain amount of time, an approved asylum, you're allowed to apply for your green card, right? Then you need once you have your green card, then you need to wait 5 years in order to apply for citizenship, right? So depending on where this person is in the process, this person, how do they enter the country? Well, this person, in theory, could accelerate their green card process through a marriage. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how it could impact. But obviously, if you have an approved asylum case and you want to get married to someone, you're free to get married, of course.
Correto. Fica aqui, portanto, a clarificação numa situação normal e uma vez mais, everything that we are providing here are based on a generic approach because the information that the doctor has is limited. You know,
Yeah.
making sure that you contact an attorney, make sure that you have all the data, so a clear understanding of the case and a clear answer can be provided. But in a generic situation, a person with asylum case that wants to get married to an American citizen will expedite, if you allowed me to use that term, their case in order to become, you know, to have the regular green card and all that. Is that
Right.
correct? Doctor, we are getting to the end, but extremely important once again. We keep talking about that, but I think that is important. More and more we see ICE activity. If someone walk through the street and see someone from ICE, what they should do. Once again, we need to reinforce that because every day is more and more cases of situations that are hilarious.
Right. Well, if you're encountered by ICE in the streets, it's a very important. You have your rights, right? You have your constitutional rights because you're here in the United States, which means you have the right to remain silent. Okay. You do not. All you have to do is say that you want to speak to a lawyer. It's very important to, if you are encountered by ICE, to not run. Don't provide false information. Don't provide false documents, because all that can make your situation worse. Don't provide an admission. You don't have to answer questions about your immigration status. Now, if you're pulled over while driving and ICE pulls you over, you do not have to answer questions about your immigration status. There, you do have to turn over, you know, your driver's license, your registration, and your insurance, right? But you don't have to answer questions about your immigration status. You can't provide false documents. It's also important that if you have a license that's suspended or for whatever reason, that you get that fixed, because, you know, that's another thing that could work against you in an immigration situation. But yeah, and as for the cell phone tracking, we'll have to discuss maybe on another show about what you can do exactly to prevent that. But there are settings on your phone that you can change, like ad sharing and stuff like that. I can look into it more and then let you know. And also maybe turn off location sharing on applications that you're not always using, right?
Correct.
Like you don't need to always have your location sharing on Instagram or Facebook, right? Like maybe just when you use it, I don't know, but we can discuss that
Correct.
at another time.
E fica muito, muito importante, portanto, mais e mais a privacidade de cada um tem que ser olhada de modo a evitarmos surpresas num futuro próximo. Eu quero uma vez mais lembrar os contactos do Dr. George Russell. Está localizado no 48 Wilson Avenue, aqui na cidade de Newark, 973-344-9120. O Dr. George Russo does speak Portuguese, mas ele prefere falar em inglês para que a comunicação seja mais fluida, mas pessoas que falam português ou espanhol podem entrar em contacto com o escritório do Dr. George Russo, porque são bilinguals. Doctor, thank you very much for being here, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Muitíssimo obrigado, e você em casa já sabe, conheça os seus direitos, mas acima de tudo esteja bem informado e não cometa erros que lhe possam custar caro. Vivemos tempos difíceis, vivemos tempos complicados, mas no final de tudo a esperança deverá ser sempre a última a morrer. The Legal Way com o Dr. Jorge Russo. O meu nome é Ricky Durães, é um prazer estar na sua companhia.